I totally meant to do that. Shek, check. The way I have kind of chosen to finally view it is that bipolar is like my roommate at this point. It is my toxic, lethal, son of a unevictable. Yeah, unevictable. I cannot evict that son of a... So I essentially have two choices here. I can, one, hate on it and hate it. I can spend my time complaining and whining about how it ruins my life. Or I can learn about my bipolar so I can actually live with it. To be clear, in no way am I embracing this roommate. I'm not taking it out for drinks. I'm not playing, a game of Risk with it. There's irony there. Yeah, it's Risk. Yeah. I am literally finding a way to live my life and learn to live with that erratic piece of... I am going to tell you how I started to do it actually years ago. And there are a couple of huge pluses by doing this. By getting to know my bipolar, I am looking into the characteristics of my depression, of my mania, of my mixed episodes, of the tiny signs that might tell me that, something's coming. What this does is makes me more responsible for my self-care. And it also provides me more strength in my life and more confidence that I can live my life. Yes. We do need our support systems in life. They are wonderful things and people that we need. But the truth of the matter, the fact, is that we are the only ones that are actually with us from birth to death. The more we can be aware of these things, the safer we are. Back to those support systems. This actually also helps them. If we write these things out that we talk about in our mania, our depression, our hypomania, our onsets, and we give it to the people, our support system, the people closest to us who are around us the most, even if they don't get or understand what bipolar is in general, they can understand and have a better view of what your bipolar is. Let's face it, if people are going by the diagnosis and the definitions and everything that is written in all those wonderful books out there, every single thing we do is all of a sudden going to become bipolar to them. Isn't it better for them to know what our bipolar is like? Here's the thing, to do this, you don't necessarily or at all need to be in an episode or induce an episode, like stop taking your medications or not go to your therapist and just not take care of yourself. That's not how we play this game. What you will have to do though is have the courage to look back at your past episodes from the viewpoint of observance. It does require to put aside your resentment and anger so you can let yourself look at the little details to the bigger details of these things. We actually already do this naturally. We just often can get caught up in the emotions of it. While living with bipolar disorder does mean that we tend to be emotional beings, we have to remind ourselves we do have the power and the strength to put fact before those feelings. And that's something we have to do on this one. That's something that we have to do for our own self-preservation and for our own self-care and for the future of our lives. Okay, I'm gonna get started with me. Regarding onset for me, now most typically I start with hypomania, and it kind of leads to full-blown mania that then leads to depression, which I initially experienced during onset. There are tiny signs that have kind of presented themselves through the years when I have looked back. The thing I will always notice during an onset, looking back, is that I have a heightened sense of sexuality. This could mean that I am either looking for sex more often, or the things become more sexualized in my mind than usual. This does not always mean that I am actually looking to have intercourse, it's just where my mind is. Racing thoughts are quite typical for us when we're going into mania or hypomania, and especially when I enter a full force episode of mania. Now, the thing I do experience is moments during onset where my energy, my thoughts, my pace, even in my walk and the pace of my talk, the way I am experiencing others walk and talk, it's almost like there's a slight fast forward motion to things. It's almost a kind of energy. It's not like super fast forward like, you know, we joke about on television or stuff like that. It's just this energy of things moving a little bit faster than normal. My thoughts, my words, everything. During onset of an episode, my appetite will usually begin to decrease. I also start fixation on things more than usual. This could mean either listening to a song more than once, but on an obsessive level. Way more than usual, because I typically do listen to my favorite songs on repeat. There is a difference. I feel a definite energy difference to the connections I feel during these songs. Once I'm into a full-blown manic episode, which is typically the beginning of my overall episode, it is haze, haze, haze. Everything is in a haze. At that moment, I typically don't realize. At the moment, I'm not completely aware that things are hazy. It's only after that, when I try to look back at things, that part of my actions are missing, or the actual words, or the actions I've associated with the words that are hard and difficult to recall. It becomes increasingly more difficult for me to keep up in conversations. My racing thoughts might be interrupted with what the person is saying, or that there is so much kind of racing in my head that I forget what the person actually began to say. So when they finish their sentence, I'm like, WTF. Heightened sense of sexuality that was seen in my onset, it kind of stepped up a level, because it's turned into full forced needing, wanting, looking hardcore for release in any kind of way. Intend to me being careless with the kind of sexual intercourse that I end up going forward with. And it doesn't help that haze thing is happening. Make sure always to be prepared in any situation regarding that. It's a very good reason I don't have a credit card around anymore. In an episode or not in an episode, I will use it. My impulse control is absolutely like non-existent. And I have also had times where I have taken money or credit cards from the people I live with or the people around me in those moments. Knowing this about myself and making myself and the people I live with know this helps it not to happen and keeps me a little more honest about it as well. Shift into depression. Well, let's shift into depression, but not really shift into depression, because there's no time for that. Yes, there's the typical crying. There is the typical lying in bed and not being able to get out of bed. The thing that I experience in the onset of my episodes, where I am listening to a song on repeat and repeat, it becomes even more intense. Music for me is self-care at its best. But there is a point where I have to realize, well, I'm getting like too deep into this. I'm getting way deep into this. This is a huge sign for me. Because the reason I'm typically not turning off the music is because I just don't have the energy to move, to change the song, change the tape, change the CD, change the playlist, change any of it. One of my episodes, I actually recall lying in bed, and I remember going kind of in and out of sleep, and the TV was on in the same room, and the remote was across the room. Now, I woke up at some point, and I remember realizing, oh look, there's the Gilmore Girls marathon is still on. I do love me some Rory and Lorelai. Only so much of Gilmore Girls you can take. But the remote is all the way across the room, and I can't change the channel without the remote, and I can't get out of this bed because I don't have any of the energy to do so. I think I watched every single episode. So some of my things are probably similar to your things, right? Maybe not exactly. And that's the point. I said in my first Shek episode, we are not textbook definitions. We may have the same diagnosis. We don't have the same brain. And if we don't have the same brain, that also means we don't have the exact same chemical imbalance. So while general things might be the same, the little things might be different. Those little things are so important for us to understand and for us to realize, not only so we can help ourselves better, but so the people who are out there helping us can help us better when they need to. Thank you so much for watching another episode of the Shek Check. If you like what you saw, if you took anything from it at all, please like, share, subscribe, anything you want. You can also check out www.theshekcheck.com. Also, please leave any comments or questions below. I am open to any of them. What you may see as negative feedback or what you may see as positive feedback, it will help me help all of you guys better. Please take care of yourselves so we can take better care of others. They go hand in hand.